Well, you've seen all the product and you've heard from the pros, let's take this technique to the water. You know, when you decide to throw slop frogs and stuff like this, there's a few things you gotta have. The rod, reel, and line you choose is critical to being successful. Right here, I've got a 7-11 medium heavy extra fast bait casting rod. And the reason I want that is for two things. One is to get those longer casts. That longer rod will allow me to cast that frog further back into the weeds. The extra length will also help me getting that fish's head out of the cover and coming towards the boat. You need that backbone with the medium heavy, it's a must. For line, I choose 65-pound braided line. That no stretch will help you get those fish out of cover. You can go to 80, but I always recommend 65. If you're doing open water frogs, you might get away with 50. I never like to take the chance. I go 65 and I never break them off. And when you pick your reel, a 7-to-1 gear ratio is super important. 30 inches of line retrieve per handle turn is the deal when you use a 7-to-1. Two reasons. One, you fire a frog out and you reel and he blows up and misses it. You can really quickly get that frog in, fire it right back again. The second reason is that gear ratio gets you fast pickup, so when you're dragging the fish out, you don't lose that line. Or if he bites and swims towards you, you can quickly pick up the line. One word of warning, if you're gonna pick a 7-to-1, make sure you get one with a good gear system. Like this has an HEG gearing system. So HEG being high efficiency gearing with a brass gear. You won't strip them. They'll last a lifetime and they'll put some good fish in the boat for you. Anytime you fish stuff like this, rod position is a really critical thing as well, because you want your rod in the 10 to 11 o'clock position. What that does is it creates a little bow in your line. So when a fish explodes, you naturally have time to lower your rod before you set the hook, giving them a chance to grab it, turn around, and then you can set the hook. Just one of those things that you gotta do to make your frog fishing fun. So the next time you wanna go out and try some slop frog fishing, instead of watching them blow up and telling stories, watch them blow up, set the hook, get them in the boat. It's the only way to do it. Got him. Oh, it's amazing. Right off the pads and into the junk. Oh, there's one thing about doing this is you gotta have a long rod. If you don't have a big, powerful rod, you aren't getting that fish out of the cover. Look at that. Now, you get the salad with it. This is the best part about frog fishing and what I love the most. Look at that. You wanna talk about eating the frog. This fish came out right off the edge of the pads, and as soon as it hit the grass, he exploded on it. Look where that frog is, right down. It's amazing how they can get this thing. They're so quick and so aggressive when they want to be. You get gorgeous fish like that. How's that for a nice looking chunk? Let this thing go. Look at that. Got him. Oh, there's a follow-up fish too. Oh, good fish. Here he comes. Oh, another good one. So there's another example of, you know, if you're quick enough with your frog. That fish came out, ate it. And I got a little piece of him, but I fired right back in there and he came out and ate it. And this time he wanted it. Look how far down that is. You know, the long rod. I can't stress enough the importance of having a long rod. That's a nice looking fish, nice and chunky. They're healthy in here. You can see with all the weeds how dark these bass get. They just take the natural surroundings around them and they camouflage a lot better and stuff like this. We'll get this guy back. Now, one thing you want to remember, I talked about having a long rod. I'm using a 7-11 rod that's medium heavy. It's got extra fast action. Two reasons for this. Not only your casting distance, which you need to be able to bomb that frog out far, but it's getting the fish out. Once he bites it, you drop your rod tip and you set, that extra length will help me get his head coming forward and let me get him to the boat. It's one of those things that put more fish in your boat every year. Longer rods definitely rule when frog fishing. Got him. Oh my God. He came out and just exploded on that thing. You can see why this long rod is so important. I am just absolutely leaning on this fish, trying to get his head out. Come on out of there. A whole lot of salad here. You know, there's no way I would have got this guy out of that stuff with anything. Now is time for the treat. How big is he? Let's take a look. You know, feels good, sharp teeth. Look at that. Look at that. Right in the back of the junk, the biggest junk you could find. And you know, without a frog like these ones that are completely weedless, you don't get fish like this. I'm gonna clean them off for you a bit. You can see what they live in. These fish are not afraid to live in the thickest junk you can find. They're just absolutely waiting for something to invade their space. As soon as it does, whoosh, they pound on it. Without braided line, long rod, and a 7-to-1 reel, this guy never gets to the boat. Let's put him back. Nice.